I don't have $50,000 worth of Mac Studios that I can daisy chain together, 4 of them, to get 2 terabytes of RAM, nor do I have the $780,000 to do it the same thing with NVIDIA graphics cards. What I do have is an Apple M4 Pro with 24 gigabytes of unified memory that cost me about $1,600. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. Now, Metal has a ceiling in VRAM of 17.76 gigabytes. The IO GPU wired limit in megabytes is 0. It's kernel default, nothing hand tuned. Our real headroom with our homelab up is about 7.4 gigabytes. And I've got 16 containers running, chewing up about 2.13 gigs of memory. My OrbStack VM cap is 11.74 gigabytes. And I've got roughly 28 gigs of free disk space. So my hard drive is about 94% full. The spec sheet says 17.6 gigs of VRAM. With my home lab running, I've actually got 7. Now, I was watching NetworkChuck, had a video where he was showing 4 Mac Studios with 512 gigs each of unified memory, giving him 2 terabytes of unified memory total. That's awesome. Apple gifted him a $50,000 worth of retail devices. He was able to cluster them together using Thunderbolt 5, and he said that's where I got the $780,000 NVIDIA equivalent claim. That was directly from NetworkChuck. That was $50,000 versus my $1,600 Mac Mini. Mine is cheaper by 31x. In memory, the Mac cluster has 2 terabytes versus my 24, which is 85x. So 3 findings changed the idea that I came into this video. I was thinking, I had certain thoughts in my head, and this video, well, it changed my plan because the data came out differently. It's been a while since I run local AI on my machine. To have 24, well, basically I haven't done it since I replaced my Intel iMac. What does everybody get wrong about the 24 gigs of unified memory? What it can run locally. You don't have to have a $50,000 cluster. Watching NetworkChuck's video made me want to see what my machine, at a fraction of the cost, could do. And today I found out it's a lot more capable than I thought it was. I thought I was going to have to be stuck using cloud models. There is a plethora of models that'll run on my machine. I pulled the floor model off camera. All 16 containers were up at the time. Quinn 3 4 billion load was 86.66 tokens per second, and with a time to first token of 1.64. My second pull was 89.59 with a time to first token of 1.93. The third pull dropped the tokens per second to 86.64 with a time to first token of 0.136. And then the fourth and final pull dropped it to raised the tokens per second to 87.94 with a time to first token to 0.131. So this tells you 2 things in one trap. The tokens per second is stable between 86.6 and 89.6 with a 3% spread. A $1,600 Mac Mini doing 88 tokens per second while running 16 containers, not bad. Time to first token is not stable. There's a 12x swing between the first benchmark and the last one. So MLX is Apple's open source machine learning framework built specifically for Apple Silicon to take advantage of the GPU acceleration and unified memory. GGUF is a compact model file format that runs LLMs locally, especially with llama.cpp, which is part of LM Studio Bionic. So on my machine, MLX was 19% faster. Now, after measuring the benchmarks, this is on GGUF would have handed the cluster a free 19%. I could have run this on a generic path and given you a number 19% or worse. Apple's own framework It's 84 tokens per second. If I'm gonna compare my machine to a $50,000 cluster, I'm not gonna cheat my hardware to make this story better. My second finding is smaller, but still real. GGUF is boringly consistent. MLX is spiky. MLX swung roughly from the number 80 to 90, not a single decimal. A single MLX number is not reproducible. The 19% gap is. The results, the full ladder measured. Quinn 3 with 4 billion parameters using MLX, 2.2 gigabytes, roughly 78 tokens per second, and predicted tokens was 40. Quinn 3.5 with 9 billion parameters, also using MLX 4-bit, was 5.57 gigabytes, 44.8 tokens per second, and 44 predicted tokens. GPT-OSS 20 billion using MX FP4 with an MOE architecture of 3.6 billion active of the 21 billion, took up 11.27 gigs of unified RAM. Tokens per second was 63.9 and predicted tokens was 48. The 9 billion had to use the reasoning off because the first time I ran it, it spit out 2,388 tokens of change just arguing with itself. So the first finding, there is no cliff, there is no wall. The coyote did not hit himself on the stone. He was able to run like the Roadrunner. GPT-OSS 20 billion with the homelab up, running 16 containers, 63.89 tokens per second. Turned orb stack off, brought my entire homelab down, all the Docker containers are shut down, 64.89 tokens per second. 1.6% apart. Stopping my homelab had zero impact on running the local AI, which to me is insane because I remember trying to run Olama on that iMac and it was just brutal. And that sucker had 64 gigs of RAM. 64 gigs of RAM. So if Bionic tells you that you've got full GPU offload possible with that little green badge, believe them. I came in today thinking I was going to show you where my Mac Mini hit the wall. I looked for the wall. I didn't find it. I've loved my Mac Mini. I've thought its performance was amazing, and now I love it even more. The other finding is the speed does not track with the size. If you go and sort the models by raw size, it's 4 billion, 9 billion, 20 billion. If you're looking at the speed and performance, it's 4 billion, 20 billion, 9 billion, which is crazy. The 20 billion beat the 9 billion by 43% while occupying twice the memory. That's insane. GPT-OSS 20 billion is a mixture of experts, MOE, with 21 billion total parameters, but only 3.6 billion fire per token. The Quinn 3.59B is a dense model and all 9 billion fire for every token. That is the speed's difference. It's active parameters, not total parameters, that drive the speed. Supporting numbers include the load time. I pulled these facts from NetworkChuck's online GitHub repo that he used for the video. His published benchmarks, the model for Llama 3.2 3 billion was 240 tokens per second. The 70 billion parameter was 45 tokens per second. The Quinn 3 coder 480 billion was 40 tokens per second. Kimi K2 1 terabyte, 28 to 30 tokens per second. And then DeepSeek, which was a 1 billion, had 26 to 27 tokens. My Mac Mini, 63.9 tokens per second on 20 billion. His $50,000 cluster running the models that justify a $50,000 cluster produces 26 to 40 tokens per second. My Mac Mini produced 63.9. The cluster doesn't buy you speed, it buys you capacity. It can load a 713 gigabyte model all into its VRAM. My Mac Mini will never be able to do that. On throughput though, and it runs slower than a 20 billion model on my Mac Mini. His scaling table will say the rest. A single Mac Studio does 147 tokens per second on 3 billion. 4 of them do 240. That's 40% efficiency. Clustering has a hard diminishing returns, and he published that himself. 4 billion, 5.9 seconds. 9 billion, 7.78 seconds. 20 billion, 10.2 seconds. And on the second load, it dropped to 9.38 seconds. The time to first token for the 20 billion was 4.59 seconds cold, 1.75 warm. Prompt tokens jumped to 100 from 40 and 44 because the reasoning preamble is larger. MLX versus GGUF was 19% faster from a controlled back-to-back, not a derived on camera. Oops. It was measured, not demonstrated. Free disk ended at 51.15 gig when I started at 28 gig this morning. This machine's free space is genuinely volatile. The readings today went in order of 28, 22.8, 24.2, 31.1, 26.2, and then back up to 31.6 gigabytes. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to support this channel. It really means a lot. I'm doing this to help my son, so help us out. He's special needs, and he brings so much light and joy into the world.